Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the second episode of Young Impact Leaders of India. I'm Ronsula Coutinho, head of New Socia Academy. New Socia is an impact advisory and CSR design company driven with the dream of enabling a responsible society. The Young Impact Leaders series is an initiative of New Socia Academy to bring to you experiences of young and inspirational leaders who have created large scale impact in their careers. The session will have two parts: a discussion between the panelists, followed by Q&A from the audience. I request all of you to please feel free to send in your questions using the Q&A box. We will take them up later. Now I would like to hand over to Manju, CEO of New Socia, to welcome our guest speaker for today and take forward the session.
Thank you, Ronsula, for that introduction. I'm very pleased to welcome Swatantra Gupta today, whom I personally know for more than a decade now. Hi, Swatantra. Welcome to this series.
Hi, Manju. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So before we begin, I would like to briefly introduce Swatantra because move ahead in this conversation. Swatantra is an economist enthusiast, a postgraduate in sustainable development from University of London. He is currently a part of the leadership team of Smile Foundation, where he is leading the corporate partnerships vertical. And in his inspiring career of almost 14 years, he has handled a lot of functions like donor acquisition, retention as well. And interestingly, he's not raising funds for his organization. He's also supporting a lot of partner organizations of Smile in building their resource mobilization through a program called as Action for Children. Welcome once again to the Swatantra. Just to share with you, today we have participants from about 20 cities who will be joining us across the globe. And this includes a mix of students, professionals, and academicians. And one very interesting thing that I can see is how there's a perception that life of a social impact professional is non-target oriented. And there is, we also assume that there's a lot of work-life balance in working while we work for social impact profession compared to, maybe this is a comparison with the corporate kind of side. Yes, there are people who believe that the salaries are lesser than corporate, which obviously is a truth. And some amount of work in semi-urban, rural urban areas are a part of, in general, about the kind of work we find here. So here, we will begin this conversation with this context, because as someone who has spent almost 14 years in this sector, and especially in the role of a fundraiser, and consistently for the last 10 years we've been raising funds. What are your takes on this perception about the life of a social impact professional? There are some myths, there are some perceptions about it. What do you think, about it?
Right. So actually, it was quite an interesting poll, Manju. And there are a lot of myths and a lot of perceptions which are associated. Simply because even I have also seen since my college days and before that how working for an NGO is perceived. It is perceived not so cool. It is perceived little less glamorous, and so on and so forth. But in my opinion, it's not the fact. The fact is that working for social sector is as cool as working for some big time research a person is doing, or working for a big time corporate. Some people think that working for consulting organization is cool, or making aeroplanes is cool. But I think that's not the truth. That may be cool, but working for a non-profit is equally cool. I'll tell you why. In the social sector, we deal with human problems. We generally deal with human problems. When I say human problems, these are the biggest problems of the world. Today, in the current situation of COVID-19, we are dealing with the biggest and the biggest social problems. People do not wear masks, people do not maintain distance, people do not have hygiene practices, etc. You come across so many things. How do you change? How do you bring change in people's life? Still, in a country like India, people die of hunger. Still, maybe half of the children in India, if the statistics are right, they're not going to school. Uh, there is a big problem of unemployment and malnutrition across India and many African countries and many places in the world. So, as far as I am concerned, if I get a chance to solve these problems, which is very much directly related to human beings, I think that's where we can say that it's cool to, get this opportunity to solve such problems. How do we use technology to solve human problems? These days, these things are also happening. So, social sector has evolved over a period of time. Social sector is no longer just a sector where people who never found a job elsewhere would get a job here and they'll do something. No, it's not about that. You need the best of the brains in the sector. You need the most intelligent people in the sector. And that's how you can solve the biggest problems of human beings. So that is my way of thinking. So precisely that's my take on that. It's a myth. Social sector needs that the perception needs to be changed, and it's changing also. Lot of corporates, after spending their half of their lives in their corporate sector, they have joined social sector after doing very well in the corporate sector. So why they are doing that? So there are a lot of questions, and we can easily understand that it's nothing to do with a sector which is a little lower in importance than other sector. It's not like that. It's just a perception.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Swatantra, because I think we are increasingly seeing a lot of interest in, especially in professionals joining social sector, and which I think is a very good direction in which the whole country and probably the whole world is moving. In this respect, I also remember that you are a you come from Faizabad, and you came to Delhi for your undergrad, and then you went to London pursuing your master's in sustainability from London University. How did you decide about studying abroad, and what cost to study abroad, and also you decided to come back to India and pursue your passion? So tell us a little more about that.
Yeah. So it's an interesting journey, but with limitations of time, I would quickly try to touch upon the key things which I have learned in last maybe 15 to 20 years. One thing which I would like to tell to everyone over here and to other youngsters whom I can interact, that we need to dream. We need to dream. And chasing a dream is more important than chasing an expectation. So we expect a lot out of ourselves, but we don't realize that that may lead to a lot of unsatisfaction. But when you chase your own dream, which you build over a period of time, then it's a different kind of a feeling which you come across. So my dream of being part of a big university, a world-renowned university, was from my childhood. But I would say being in Faizabad, which was a very small town, which is a very small town, and some 15 years back, with almost no connectivity and limited internet facility, etc. It was very difficult for someone like me to pursue something like this. It was a dream, but my decision of quitting my science stream because I had a love for economics. I chose Delhi University to complete my graduation. I did not do any economics honors kind of a thing, but my interest in economics kept me alive with a lot of things which are related to economics, like development, underdevelopment. And I spent 3 years of my graduation, to be honest, researching. I did a lot of research. Delhi gave me the opportunity to be a part of institutes like British Council. I met a lot of counselors, education counselor, and did my own lot of research. I think in 3 years' time, I was thorough with where all the scholarships we can get, which are the best colleges, how to choose college and the course. There are a lot of institutions which give rankings every year on various parameters, that how why a college is a right college and what all facilities, what all things you need to see in a college. So sometimes you get into a fix choosing a right college or a right course. That's also a big problem which youngsters face. Some people say this is a very good college, but do you know that you need to know you need to choose a right college or a right course. Very few people get the opportunity to choose right college and right course. So that's also something which one need to think about it. So I mean, in a nutshell, my time which I spent in Delhi for 3 years, wherein I was totally on my toe to identify the best college, best course, uh, helped me get an opportunity to study in London University. And my interest in economics played a very big role. So one thing which I still I think is very close to my heart is the subject economics. So that what I would suggest to people, that something you need to keep yours with you. You know, there are a lot of things in the world which you like, which are there. But what is one thing? What are two things which is more dearer to your heart? Is very important, and then accordingly you start navigating and pursue what you want to pursue.
I mean, I really loved what you said, Swatantra. Chasing a dream is more important than chasing, expectations. That's quite a bit of philosophy there. But then, my next question to you is about this long career that you have had with Smile Foundation, because it's very rare for youngsters, a lot of us actually, to stick on to an organization and keep doing the same thing, right? I mean, and keep growing that particular portfolio and profile into something that you are today. So, like, tell us a little more about this whole, the work and life of fundraiser, and what keeps you motivated every day. It is a it's a tough profile to really work like one. So, tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I would say prima facie, yes, it sounds tough, but I think it's more to do with how much interested you are in uh, in doing such a job and how much passionate you are for the cause. So, as I said in my very first question which you asked, that you know. What you want to achieve. I want to achieve. Do you want to really solve some human problem which a lot of people in the world have failed to solve? You want to be a part of that. So that's very important. Although my profile might be about fundraising, business development, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, I know one thing: the money which I raise for the organization will help, let's say, a child go to school, a child who a child which who will never go to school will go to school because I did something. And similarly, a patient, a person suffering from some critical illness may die, but probably if I have worked a bit, we can save his life. So my thoughts revolve around that. And while I am focusing on my core responsibility of business development, I am trying to bring change in someone's life. I think that's where the key lies. And for over 10 years in Smile Foundation, my motivation has been actually linking my day to day job with cause. That's been the biggest thing. But as far as the routine work is concerned, yes, I focus a lot on how do we acquire corporates, how do we present our case, why somebody who has nothing to do with development, nothing to do with nutrition, poverty, hunger, why he is going to give me money. So that is something you have to keep on thinking, designing new project proposals, etc. And then, of course, once someone comes on board, how do you retain them? How do you win the confidence of the person or the company so that for years and years he keeps on supporting your cause? So these are very, I would say, these are the things which is part of my day-to-day work and building capacity of my own. So I have a you can say smaller, large team. I don't know, but around 15, 17 people working with me. So I try to build their capacity on that. There are various skills you need. Maybe I can talk about it a little later. So how do you keep on working on your skills so that just like I mean asking somebody. So in 1 minute I'll just say this that what I try to sell in a business language is something maybe very irrelevant for the buyer. So you know, you need, if you are a consumer, you need to buy a laptop. It is for your own benefit, for your own need, and I'm a salesman. But I think it's simple. But I am trying to ask you money for someone else's education, which is something you need to have a little different kind of a skill set and thought process for that. And I don't think it's a rocket science. We all can have that. The only thing is we need to link certain things, certain passion needs to be there. We need to be extremely passionate about it. And and yes, I think together we all can make it happen.
That's very interesting. Especially when you're speaking about acquiring donors and retaining donors, right? And I listened. I heard about this statement. Fundraising is friend raising, right? It's a lot of relationship building activity that you keep doing over and over, and so that people stick to you and they support for your cause time and again. So Tantras, a good part of your work is also as a leader of Action for Children program, where you're not just helping Smile to raise for more funds, but a lot of organizations, Smile's partners, have also been supported in fundraising. So how has that experience in general for you?
I think it's been fantastic. Uh, the world today, if you see, is has changed. Today, we all talk about being self-dependent, and it's not applicable only for individuals like me and you, but for everyone. We need to be self-dependent. We need to be self-sustainable. And so these NGOs, these are very small grassroots NGOs. Just for everyone's knowledge, India, we have in our country, we have over 3.5 million NGOs. Imagine, even half of them wants to do good work, are doing good work. Imagine the kind of skills they would need to raise money. So it's been a very interesting experience under this program, that building capacities of these small little grassroots NGOs has been excellent. You come across those NGOs who do not know anything about it. They don't know even how to communicate well. They don't know even what does a good website means. They are so shy of asking money from people. But as part of this program, which is about capacity building, there are various things which we talk about. We talk to NGOs. So, because ultimately it's very important to know one thing, that when the fundraising will happen, when people will start donating, or when people will start shelling out money for a particular cause. So there is a logical flow to that, and I want to tell you that. Um, lot of NGOs or a lot of people in our country, they are doing good work. They are in the slums, they are working in villages, they are in semi-urban areas, doing doing brilliant work, fantastic work. But it's very important that we communicate to the right kind of people what work they are doing. So communication plays a very, very important factor in establishing the credibility of the particular work which an NGO does. And unless we will not communicate to the right target group, there won't be any trust. So there are about 20 people listening to me. If I ask money, nobody will give me, because they don't trust me. So I need to build trust, and the trust can only be there when you communicate in a right fashion, in a right manner. So when there is trust, people will give money. So simple logic is that good work needs to be communicated well, and there is right kind of communication, the trust building happens. And when there is trust in the society, then people come forward and support the cause. That's the simple one line logic. And that's where I think all our actions need to be, staged. Yeah.
So, since we are speaking about communication and the very purpose or the very importance of gaining trust of your stakeholders, especially when it comes to fundraising, I would at this stage would like to take a couple of audience questions that which has come to us. And some of them are related to, one question which I specifically have is, while raising fund from a corporate, it is essential to identify who can decide on the partnership. So, who, in your experience, are the key decision makers in a corporate setting who ultimately gives the green flag to the whether to partner with you or not?
To be honest, in the current scenario, uh, when the CSR law came into effect since 2013, so there is now a very structured process of decision making in the corporate, and that is the board. So ultimately, the board decides uh, which NGO needs to be supported. But to communicate or to present something to the board, there's a process. There's a process of uh, convincing or building trust with the, you can say, CSR head, or in other language you can say there is always a gatekeeper. So the gatekeeper could be the head of CSR, the gatekeeper could be the head of HR, finance, or even in some companies, company secretary also are the gatekeepers. And through that you present, you propose certain activities which you intend to do, and ultimately there are certain hurdles, you would say, which there are certain laps which you need to cross, and the final decision making mostly in almost 100% organization lies with the board. So one thing, the trust building or relationship may be an ultimate thing, but uh, how do you how do you navigate the entire process, which needs not only a right kind of a communication and presentation, but a right kind of a proposal, the content, what you want to do, which is depicted or reflected by the proposal, is extremely important to get go to get a nod from the board. So those
Yeah.
are the elements which are there in the entire process.
Swatantra, because we are currently in a very difficult world because of COVID, and definitely one of the some questions that we have is related to navigating the whole fundraising scenario amidst the COVID.
Yeah.
Because we all know that a significant amount of funding has gone into different schemes, government and non-governmental schemes, and um, what would be the impact of on the CSR funding for nonprofits post COVID, and how do you suggest that NGOs should prepare themselves for a post COVID scenario?
Right. I think, Manju, it's a very relevant question in the current scenario. Yes, that's a fact that a majority of money has been parked or has been given to COVID-related activities, be it to various NGOs or be it to PM care funds, or a lot of companies themselves are directly doing a lot of work in COVID-19 situation. So definitely, that's a situation is such that it seems like, although I do not have any evidence of that, but because I'm very much involved in the entire fundraising activity under COVID-19 situation also. There will be lesser money available in times to come. So that means the competition will be very high. So there will be a lot of number of NGOs who bid or who compete for the funds remains the same, or they maybe new ones get added also. But the amount of money which was available, let's say until last year, will certainly get reduced for various other programs which typically NGOs used to do or we used to do for that matter. So that's a situation like an NGOs need to prepare themselves for that. So giving you example of our own organization, Smile Foundation, our team is totally working day and night to prepare themselves to face this situation where there is a funds crunch, and still you have to run your core programs of education, healthcare, skill development, and women empowerment. These are the four core programs we deal with. So what do we do? So the answer is that we need to um, we need to have some innovative solutions. We need to have something which keeps us, stand out in the current competition. We need to use technology to its best so that there is cost effectiveness and efficiency. We may, let's say, until last year, we were educating, or we were trying, we were imparting education for about 40,000 children. uh, we would still want to educate 40,000 children, but maybe we will have lesser money. So we should know how to use the lesser money available in the market still, so in a manner that still all 40,000 children can get education. So there needs to be a very strong element of innovation which we need to bring in our approach, and technology certainly will be the key deciding factor how well an organization is using technology for all their programs and entering into the corporates.
So we are almost. It's time to wrap up. But I have a very important question, because without asking this, I don't think we should close the webinar. See, the one of the major objective with which we launching this webinar is to inspire a lot of youngsters to participate in the social impact process. So for the benefit of the students who are listening to us today, what skill set do you think that students and young professionals can need to build a career in social sector, especially in corporate fundraising?
Right. So my answer to this question is very straightforward. There are skills which I will talk about it, but before that, I think passion is very important. If you feel for the sector, you don't have to feel for the sector. You have to feel for the people. You have to feel for the humankind. If you feel for that and you think that you can be a problem solver and you can bring change in the society, you can try solving social problems. Then in that case, you would need some fundamental skills such as communication, such as presentation. Research is extremely important. When you deal with fundraising and such profiles, you need to be extremely good researcher. You need to have a very strong general knowledge. You need to have good analytical skills. Things are not so simple as it sounds. Uh, Things have evolved and it has become very tricky also sometimes. We need to be able to analyze the situation. When you talk to corporate, you need to understand how to assess behavior of the other person. So there are like consumer behavior, such kind of a thing. How do you actually read the psychology of the potential donor? So fundamentally, these are the basket of things which needs to be there. But I also would like to put a asterisk that this these skills also evolve in individual. It is not something which is taught anywhere. Slowly, if the passion is there and you have that zeal to do something of this sort, it gets evolved over a period of time. So, but yes, precisely these are the things which we need to focus.
With which we can probably conclude this, because I think where there is a will there is a way, and the requirement of passion is something that essentially will help us build all of those skills which are required to deliver what we are passionate about delivering. So thank you so very much, Swatantra, for taking your time and being here and sharing the thoughts with all of us. I know that we can keep speaking about fundraising, the challenges around it for maybe several hours together, and I'm sure we'll come back with a more detailed workshop kind of setup where we can have in-depth analysis about the whole art and science of fundraising per se. Um, um, we have not been able to answer all the questions which came from the audience today. So we will try to consult with Swatantra and come back to you with answers of this question in the coming days. So with that, I thank all the audience for joining us today. I hope this has been an insightful session for you. With that, I also thank the academic team of New Social for putting up this whole effort in bringing up all these very, very impactful, very inspiring leaders to you every week. Thank you once again, and a very good evening to all of you. Uh, Thanks.
Thank you, Manju. Thank you, everyone from New Socia. And thank you, all the participants. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.